Hello aspirants, welcome to the previous year question series of CUET 2025. In this video, we will be discussing the paper of 2025 Food Science and Technology which came in SCQP12. I'm Devanshu Gupta, your mentor for SCQP12 Food Science and Technology, and let's begin. So coming straight forward to the 16th question. See 15th till 15th we have already posted in the previous video. If you have not watched that video, you can watch that. Proceeding on with the 16th. Which of the following are polyunsaturated fatty acids? Linolenic, yes, it is there. Linoleic and arachidonic. All these three are polyunsaturated fatty acid. If we talk about oleic acid, it is monounsaturated omega 9 fatty acid. So only A, B and C are the right option for this question, which makes second as the best option for this question. Linoleic is your omega 6 fatty acid. Then linolenic, it is derived from your linolenic acid, and arachidonic acid is synthesized from linoleic acid. So I hope the option was clear to all of you. D, oleic acid is omega 9 fatty acid, so it does not contain 6 number of carbon atoms. Coming to the next question. Which basic functions of a food package are performed by a packaging material? Or let's say which basic functions of a food packaging material are there? Containment, obviously yes. Fortification, no. Adulteration, no. And communication, yes. So a food package will always perform the function of containment. Let's say this is a packaging material, so it should contain the product. It should communicate about the brand or whatever information which is there. So often if you need to remember how functions of packaging are there, so UPS is the right word. U is utility, P is, you can say, promotion, S is sale, and apart from UPS you also have a word CPU, that means communication, presentation. That means when you buy a product, its presentation is being done by you. You get an idea of how the product will look like, and you goes for utility. So in this way you can remember the functions of a packaging material as in terms of your parts of computer. So A and D are the right option for this question. That makes first as the right option for this question. Let's go on to the next. It is the can name which is used in the commercial sense along with its dimension. So number 10, can is 603 mm by 700 mm. This is a large institutional storage can. So it is used to transport any food item in bulk. Then we go to number 2. Number 2 can is 307 into 409. This is used for medium sized fruits and vegetables. If we talk about 303 number can, 303 can is 303 into 406. That is why it is having the 303 size, because 303 is the dimension of the can. It is a retail can which is used commonly in the retail of your food products. And if you talk about the 62 number can, 62 number can is 203 into 308 dimension, and it is used for sauces and concentrates. So this is the correct sequence. Let's say A goes for 2, then B goes for 1. Let's see which is right. A goes for 2, B goes for 1. That means option 2 is the right option for this question. Let's go on to the next question. Foaming is a functional property attributed to which of the following component of food? Protein, fat, minerals and sugar. This was a very simple question which came last year, and the option which students usually do is fat, but that is a wrong option. In bakery we have learned that there are different methods of making cake, in which there is one of the method called as creaming method, in which we incorporate fat and sugar together and beat them, and because of that people think that fat might be responsible for the foaming property. But no, any food which is having foaming property will bound to contain protein, and if not you should add it, because protein will be the one which will be forming the bubble, which will be helping to form the structure of the foam. When your proteins are whipped, the structure will denature and will lead to the air and water interface. Hydrophobic groups will orient towards the air and hydrophilic groups will orient towards the water. This forms a visco elastic film over the surface which is able to hold the foam together. Common examples, let's say whey, egg, casein, all these are often added in the food to help them stabilize the foam. Coming to the next question. Before that, we have a small announcement for all the students. If you all are preparing for CUET exam before 2026, that means before March 2026, if you are watching this video, then you can join our crash course in which we will be giving you all the sectional full length test, mock test, one-on-one discussion for the doubts, and that will be helpful for you to prepare for the exam. In that batch, we have strategically planned all the course. You don't need to read any other further book after reading the notes. Everything has been prepared for you in a very concise way. So if you are interested in joining the batch, you can contact the number given on the screen and the person will be helpful in getting you on board. Also, if you are watching it somewhere near the end of 2026, that means you are preparing for 2027 exam, then you can join a regular batch which comes from August to March. In that entire 6 month, we do extensive preparation of the CUET exam. We study each topic line by line, word by word, and communicate with you on a regular basis in live classes so that all your doubts regarding the CUET PG 2026 or let's say 2027 are cleared. So any students who is interested in joining the batch can contact the number given on the screen and can join the batch. Then coming to the next question. Foods which are specially processed or formulated to satisfy a particular dietary requirement which exist due to a disease or a disorder are known as. Answer is, let's see the option first: healthy foods, nutraceutical, balanced foods, and special foods. Answer is special foods because they are specifically produced for the people who are having some sort of disease or they are having a particular nutritional requirement, and they are also called as FSDU, food for special dietary uses. These are specifically designed for the people who are suffering from either diabetes, hypertension, lactose intolerance, celiac disease, phenylketonuria, or particularly for infants. These foods consist of several categories. Let's say gluten-free foods, low sodium foods, low fat food, diabetic food, and infant formula for the children who are below the age of 1 year. They contain specifically added bioactive compounds which will help to recover them for that particular disease or will provide them extra nutrition which they might not get from the diet. So fourth was the right option for this question. Let's go on the next question. Identify the factors that decrease the stability of egg foam. Options are acidity, fat content, salt content, and sugar. So sugar destabilizes the foam, salt also destabilizes, fat also destabilizes, but acidity promotes the foam formation, and that is why cream of tartar is added in meringues. Meringues are specifically made from egg whites, and in order to further stabilize them, cream of tartar is added which is slightly acidic in nature. So the question was to identify the factor that decrease the stability. So B, C, and D. Salt weakens the protein structure, sugar delays the formation. Salt, yes, salt weakens the foam stability, fat will not help in formation. I think the previous question was also there, which of the following helps in protein, you can say fat stability, foam stability, and the option was protein. And in this, the sugar will delay the foam formation, that is why acidity is the right option. And B, C, D, if we say specifically for this question, are the right option for this question. B, C, and D, that goes fourth option. Let's see the next question. The instrument which is used to measure the plasticity of bread dough is known as, and we have often studied this in the dough rheology. Bar bender phenomograph is used to measure the plasticity of the dough. It measures the water absorption required, the dough development time, the dough stability, and the mixing tolerance index. These parameters will help you to identify the gluten strength and the plasticity of the dough, which is the question which is asked in the exam. The machine measures the torque which is required while mixing, and using that data, it helps you to calculate the mixing time, water requirement, water absorption, and the plasticity. So fourth is the right option for this question. Next question we have is foods along with their water activity. So out of all these four foods, let's say flour, dry fruits, jam, and bread, I think bread is the one which is having the highest moisture, and in these we have 0.96 as the highest. So bread is having 0.96. After that we have jam has roughly near to 0.75, 0.8. If you talk about dry fruits, they have comparatively less moisture, that is 0.5 to 0.8. That is why the growth of several bacteria is prevented in dry fruits, and they are only susceptible to growth by molds, because molds only can survive at a water activity below 0.8. Let's say for flour is 0.67 to 0.87. Flour is a moderate moisture food product. So, or let's say it is having even less moisture than moderate food item, because moderate contains about roughly 0.85 to zero point 0.9. So flour is low moisture food product, that is why it is 0.67 to 0.87. Dry fruits are extremely dry, because obviously the name suggests that they are dry. Okay, so they have a less water activity, 0.5 to 0.8. Jam, it is having high sugar concentration, and that is why it is having low water activity, because water is not available for microbial activity. But in bread, it is extremely soft, it is having a high amount of moisture content, that is why it is having 0.96. So let's see, A goes for 4, B goes for 3, C goes for 2, and D goes for 1, which makes first as the right option for this question. Coming to the next question, the penetration of fat within the muscle when an animal is well fed is called as. That means when you give enough fodder to the animal, enough feed to the animal, and the fat which is developed is penetrating in between the muscle fibers, that is specifically known as marbling, and it is seen in animals which is having high amount of fat percent, let's say beef, pork. It is often observed in these two animals. Now, marbling occurs when the animal is properly fed, it is getting enough feed, enough fat in his diet, and that fat goes inside the muscle cells. What is the advantage of this marbling? It increases juiciness, tenderness, and flavor of meat. Other options, if we talk aging, in aging the penetration is not there, rigor mortis is something else, stabilization is also not relatable to this question. So marbling is the right option for this question. Rigor mortis is the stiffening of the muscle after it is subjected to death, that means when the animal dies. So rigor mortis sets in, which causes the stiffening of the muscles. Let's see the question number 25. In this we are given a product along with its related temperature. So in this, I think this is the topic from your sugar cookery. Sugar cookery. So syrup, if we talk about, is formed at roughly 110 to 112 degrees Celsius. Fondant is formed at 112 to 115 degrees Celsius. Then if we talk about caramel, caramel is formed at 118 to 120, and toffee is something which is formed at a much higher temperature, that is 132 to 143. Now, syrup is usually used in your desserts and sweets like your gulab jamun, rasgulla. So we need to make a syrup. So single thread or double thread stage in the sugar is usually there at this temperature. Fondant is made by cooking sugar until it reaches a soft ball stage. Then caramel, I think everyone knows what caramel is. So it is because the sugar is cooked to a slightly higher temperature, and it develops that nutty flavor along with the color, which is very prominent among all the desserts. Then toffee is something which is slightly harder, and the sugar is cooked to a very high temperature, and this stage is called as your hard ball stage. Okay, so let's see the option. Option A goes for 2, B goes for 1, C goes for 3, and D goes for 4. So first is the right option for this question. Also, any student who is having any difficulty in questions which are discussed in this video, or any of the subjects, for example, GATE, CFTRI, CUET, NIN, if they are preparing for any other exam and they are doubtful in any of the subject, any of the topic which they're not able to cover, they don't have the notes for that, we will be very happy to provide you all those things. You can always contact us, you can comment down your queries, you can contact us on the number, and we'll be very happy to clarify any of your doubt which you are having in food technology. We are building a community of food technologies which is helping each other to grow, and that will be helpful to you as well. Let's go on question number 26, which is the major microorganism that the food handlers may harbor as a part of body's flora. What does body flora consist of? Body flora consists of the microbes which are found on the body of a person. That means in hair, in mouth, in nasal cavity, in nails, or in skin. So Staphylococcus aureus is the main microbe which is found in skin, nose, hands, nails, throat, and many a times these are the things which are often in the direct contact with the food, because person can wear gloves, person can wear an apron, but the mouth will always be open. That is why it is advised that you wear a mask while preparing the food item, in which you have a very high chance of contamination. So food handlers often carry this Staphylococcus aureus, which is making a major source of contamination in the food items. It produces heat stable enterotoxins, which causes staphylococcal food poisoning in humans. Coming to the next question, first was the right option for this question. Let's say the next question, grass. Many a times I have discussed this topic in the class, and I have told you to write this thing n number of times in your notes, that grass stands for generally recognized as safe. If you see the first two words, they're always made sure that they confuse you. Generally regarded as stable, generally recommended as safe, generally recognized as stable, but the answer is generally recognized as safe. Now, what are these grass ingredients? Grass ingredients are the food additives which have been studied intensively for a long period. They have not shown any sign of toxicity or any health hazard even at higher consumption, and the food regulatory bodies have identified that yes, people can add them in the food, and they don't need to go for specific certifications or specific approvals so as to ease the process of food processing. For example, salt, sugar, honey, vinegar, all these are your grass ingredients. That means you don't need to tell how much quantity of this you have added in the food, because it is not causing any major health hazard. Obviously salt and sugar causes some health hazard, but they are of chronic exposure. That means if you continuously eat a high sugar item for a long time, then you may get some health hazards, but you will not die. Okay, so grass is a substance which does not require pre-market approval from food regulatory bodies. Coming to the next question, which of the following legume is considered as the poor man's pulse? Now we also get similar question to that, which is known as poor man's meat. Pulses are known as poor man's meat, but which pulse is known as poor man's pulse? Answer, let's see the options: field bean, horse gram, green gram, and lentil. Out of these, horse gram is the right option because it is the one crop which requires less water, less fertilizer, and even the yield is good if you compare to the other ones. It is very cheap, it is very widely available, it has a high protein content, it has a very good yield, it can easily grow in slightly dry soil, it does not require a high amount of water, it requires very less agricultural input. So a person who is poor may not be able to contribute a lot to the field, and he is highly dependent on the growth of the fodder which he is growing on the field. So horse gram is known as your poor man's pulse because it provides cheap protein to low income population, and that is why it has earned its name. Next question. The sequence of biscuit manufacturing process generally involves the following steps. Let's see the options: cooling and packaging, forming, baking, and mixing. Obviously, you need to first of all mix, then you will go for forming, then you will go for baking, and then you will go for cooling and packaging. I think the names are quite simple. I don't need to give proper explanation of all of them as to what is done in mixing, right? So in mixing, we actually mix all the ingredients together using some machine or by hand. We make the dough, then we form into specific sizes or the shapes which are required for biscuit manufacturing. Then you will subject it to a baking machine, and then cooling and packaging. So let's see the options: D, B, C, and A. D, B, C, A first is the right option for this question. Next question, if we see, or the last question in this video: toxic constituent in Vicia faba may cause dash pathological disorder, and the options are favism, letharism, rickets, and blindness. Now, Vicia faba contains the toxic compound vicin, or let's say convicin. These two are the toxic compounds found in Vicia faba. It causes hemolytic anemia, fatigue, jaundice, dark urine, and several other symptoms which are associated with consuming of this particular food. Other options, if we say letharism, is caused by Lathyrus sativus, which is found in kesari dal. Then if we say rickets, rickets is caused because of vitamin D deficiency, and blindness is caused because of vitamin A deficiency. But people with enzyme deficiency, these compound can cause hemolysis of red blood cells, which is leading to a situation known as favism, and the symptoms I have told to you. So favism is the right option for this question, which is the first option. And that was all for this video. Any clarification, any doubt, if you wanted any of the questions which was discussed in this video, you can contact on the number, you can comment down your queries, and be very happy to clarify all your doubts. You can also follow us on all the social media handles to get regular updates about the agricultural and food tech admissions, or let's say job related things. We keep on posting the stuff which is related to you on these social media handles, also to get connected with all of you. Stay connected with us. We'll be very soon posting the part 3 of this series, in which we'll be discussing the further 15 questions which were asked in CUET PG 2025. Prepare well to the 26 exam as well as for the 2027 exam. For the people who are watching this after 2026 exam, we are preparing these videos for both of the aspirants 2026 and 2027. That was all for this video. I was Devanshu Gupta. Thank you for watching.